Hello, and welcome back to this week's webisode of Fishwick and Associates. This week, John's going to talk to us about depositions, and of course, we always have present Judge Daniel. John?
Thank you, Zach, the host with the most. I see Judge Daniel is here this week. He's in fact in the office, Zach. I don't know if you noticed that, but he was in the office this week working here at the office. That we are used to him being virtual. But anyways, this week we're talking about depositions. And so that's a word people talk about. You know, we watch them on, everybody watches television and legal shows, and they talk about depositions. So what is a deposition, and how do they occur in our practice? They're very important in our practice. Depositions are when people take an oath, they promise to tell the truth, and they talk about their case. And so in the cases, we usually represent plaintiffs in cases. Plaintiffs are the people bringing the lawsuit, whether it's a personal injury case or case over money or a civil rights case. And the deposition, if it's our client, the other side gets to ask them questions under oath about their case. And so we always want the people we represent to tell the truth, but to explain their case. You know, it's a deposition can take a long time, but at the end of the day, you know, you ought to know what your case is about. If you were riding in it with a stranger, going up an elevator, you know, by the time you got to the top, could you explain your case? You know, and you need to be able to do that. And then you need to answer the questions. I'm a big believer in answering questions. I think some lawyers out there want their clients saying, I don't recall and I can't remember. And I think you tell people what your case is, you answer the question, you're straight up, you come right at them. If you're going to win, you're going to win. If you're going to lose, you're going to lose, but you don't duck. You know, I think that's a huge mistake. So depositions, it's a way for the other side to find out what our clients know. But obviously for us, Zach, we get to find out what they know, you know. And so we get you to help us. We're always digging around for information, whether it's on social media or, you know, whatever else is available publicly. But we want to know, you know, what they're going to say about the case. You know, if we're suing somebody, what are they going to say about the case? Why did they do certain things? And so we ask a lot of questions to try to ferret out what the facts are of the case to support our case. And I've got a lot of experience taking depositions, and I've always been a big believer on being in person with whoever I'm asking the questions of. I think it's important to be able to understand and look at somebody and to kind of read if you think they're telling the truth or not telling the truth, or are they being evasive? Is there something else you can follow up on? And so this little thing called COVID started about 5 months ago, and that's changed everything. And so it's the same thing I said last week. If I got a choice between no sports and sports with no fans on television, and I take sports with no fans, at least I can watch something. And so depositions by Zoom aren't as good as depositions in person, but depositions by Zoom are what we have right now. We've had one or two depositions. Carol's done one or two depositions in person, but most of the depositions that we've done in COVID have been by Zoom. So we're looking at someone like today, like the webisode, where we're remote and virtual, and we have a court reporter who takes everything down, and we show them. As you guys know, I'm very good with the technology, and so it's not a challenge for me at all to show witnesses exhibits. And for example, the depositions Daniel and I've got coming up, I'll show them exhibits with the technology. It's no big deal. But you know, you have to be more facile with that. But the idea is to understand what the other side is going to say about the case. Now, Judge Daniel, one of the things that comes up, this is a little bit in the weeds on the legal side for our viewers, but in state court and in federal court, there's a thing called summary judgment, where usually the defense tries to ask a judge as a gatekeeper to kind of shut a case down early. How do the depositions play in state court, and how do the depositions play in federal court when the judge is making that decision?
Right. So both state court and federal court, they have summary judgment, which, as you mentioned, it's a way for usually the defense. Sometimes the plaintiffs will file a motion for summary judgment, but it's usually the defense side. They'll say that there's no material fact in dispute, so the judge can decide this case basically on the law because none of the material facts are being disputed by the parties. And in federal court, you can use depositions to establish those facts. So what gets said in depositions becomes very important at that summary judgment stage, because you're going to be referencing what was said during the deposition is to say that, look, this fact isn't disputed. This is what this person admits to. So judge, based on these facts that were brought up in the deposition, rule from my side. By contrast, in state court, you can't use depositions to support a motion for summary judgment. So you're kind of left with more limited options in order to prove your case, which is why summary judgment is a bigger deal, I would say, in federal court than in state court. And I should say Virginia state court. Other states might have different rules regarding depositions, but in Virginia, at least, that's where we are.
Yeah, Daniel, that's a good summary of that. And so it becomes strategically the depositions, particularly in federal court, and we have a lot of cases in federal court, the depositions strategically become much more important as we want to kind of keep our case going. We know there's going to be this real kind of showdown on what's called summary judgment, where the judge as a gatekeeper can say, well, I'm not going to let this case go any further. So we want to make sure that the things that our clients know and the witnesses know, we put them in the record in deposition. So often Zach will help us. He'll run down a witness and we'll get a statement from them, and we can submit that. But better yet, we take that statement and we get them to repeat it in the deposition. Then we can show it to the judge and say, look, they said the following, judge, you got to keep our case going. And hopefully the judge, he or she, agrees with us and our case keeps going. So depositions are kind of the bread and butter of what we do. You know, that and court hearings are things that are happening right now despite COVID.
Right.
I think they'll continue to happen. I think we'll be doing things by Zoom. You know, we've all learned to kind of operate differently. Again, I think we don't know about jury trials, but we do know the depositions are going forward. We do know that court hearings are going forward. So it's different. I've never thought I would be doing depositions where the person I was asking the questions of is not in the room with me. That's been very unusual, but you know, you learn, you have to adjust, and it's doing the deposition that way is better than not doing the deposition. So we're good with it. I think this is an important part of our practice. Zach, thanks for leading us off to talk about deposition.
Absolutely.
It's an important part of what we do, and we continue to be very honored to represent the people that we do, and we look forward to moving forward with all our cases.
Absolutely, John. And again, we want to say thank you to all of you all out there, and we, encourage you to keep asking us questions and giving us calls, with those questions. We're glad to answer them. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.